Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship live from the Spartak Arena here in Katowice, Poland. The crowd went crazy when Fnatic finished the game, probably just because they finished the game, to be fair. For you guys at home, don't forget that we are taking part, or we are involved with your social media. Join us, facebook.com/IEM, on Twitter, use that hashtag IEM. And if you want to take part in our public polls and opinions and vote for who you think's going to win as well as the MVP, go to eslgaming.com, click on the Katowice live link and take part in the polls. We will be reading some of your responses and vote on air. Very quickly, let's just give you guys a quick reminder of the two groups that are taking part in the League of Legends tournament. Right now, KT Rolster Bullets has already qualified for the playoffs. Tomorrow, Invictus Gaming and Fnatic will battle for that final spot in the playoffs. Millennium have already been defeated and they are out of the World Championship here in Poland.
And now we move on to Group B, group stages. The first few matches, we have Gambit Gaming, we have Team WE, we have Cloud9, HyperX, and of course the Subu Taipei Assassins.
Yeah, let's actually quickly talk about the format of the rest of the games for today. It is of course going to be Group B, as you've already highlighted. It will be Gambit taking on the Taipei Assassins in match 1, followed by Cloud9 versus Team WE. So we will be getting this away. As we've already said, this is a double elimination group stage. So once you accrue 2 wins, you're in the playoffs. Pick up 2 losses and you are out of the tournament entirely. We will of course be playing some of those matches over the course of tomorrow as well. So let's talk a little bit about the two teams. Taipei Assassins, they will be on the blue side. They will be facing off against Gambit. This is a Season 2 semi-final rematch. I just want to remind everybody of the players on both of these teams, starting of course with those Taipei Assassins. Aki in the top lane, Dinter in the jungle, Morning is your mid lane, Bebe and Jay as your AD carry and support. We'll bring up the team sheet for Gambit in just a second. Of course, everybody's quite familiar with him. The Swag Lord up top, Diamond Prox in the jungle, Alex Hitch in the mid lane with Genji and Edward as your AD carry and support. Now, guys, we're starting off Group B. This is the first game. This is fresh. This is new. TPA versus Gambit. Deficio, drop some knowledge.
Well, TPA at the moment are 10-0 in the GPL. They also won the last season there in GPL, the GPL Winter. So they're obviously looking like the strongest team in their region. But we don't actually know how strong the region is. So we can't really compare it to, let's say, Korea or China. So we actually have to see how much they can offer against Gambit. If they can manage to win the first game here, if they beat out Gambit, who is the favorite for many people for this tournament, they will definitely show they are a very strong team. I believe they are. But we will actually see how much they can do against Gambit.
What's your take on this? I mean, TPA, they didn't make it to the Season 3 Worlds, and they won Season 2. They seem to be doing well in, let's call it, the last 3 to 6 months in their region. Can we take a lot away from that?
I'm not quite sure how strong the Southeastern region actually is, but showing the 10-0 is definitely showing consistency. So I think they're really consistent in what they actually do. You can see Lulu actually being banned against them every single game, pretty much. And I think we just have to wait and see how strong they actually are.
Yeah, in general, it's very standard picks for them. I don't think they're going to bring up anything really surprising for us. We have the same top laners, Renekton, Dr. Mundo, Shyvana, the popular picks, of course. Mid lane, Morning, the mid laner for TPA, he focuses a lot on to like Ziggs and Gragas, farm-heavy champions, and of course Lulu, which is being banned away. Expected to be banned away this game as well by either TPA or Gambit. And then generally bot lane, same kind of champions. A lot of focus on engaged, like Leona, Annie. They are the popular picks for them. So I expect to see them kind of the same style as maybe someone like KT Bullets.
Well, we'll have to see how this works out because, of course, TPA, they're coming into this as somewhat of an unknown. We can watch some of their games. We know some of their picks. But we need to see how they perform against the team that is currently sitting at the top of the table for the European LCS, if I recall correctly. So Gambit, what do we expect from them? Intel Extreme Masters is what we refer to basically as Gambit's tournament. They've won more stops, more events than any other team has taken part. They seem to always show up when an Intel Extreme Masters title is on the line. Think back to Cologne. They destroyed Cloud9. They destroyed Fnatic in the final. Are we expecting them to destroy today?
That's the thing again, we don't know how good TPA is, so we can't go in and say Gambit are clear favorites, that's it. We need to see how much TPA can offer, we need to see how much Gambit can offer. One thing we can note, they've been boot camping for this event, and when Gambit starts boot camping, you know things are really starting to go down. Did it for Worlds where they really started showing up, or at least for Gamescom, and then they got to Worlds even though people didn't actually expect it beforehand. So Gambit for me, as long as they've used this boot camp and they use this new patch 4.3 in their advantage, they will come in here as one of the favorites, but we still need to see them actually prove it.
Yeah, I think Gambit is like they always boot camp before IEM, and they're always coming out playing super aggressive. And I'm looking really forward to see if we're actually gonna see only Assassins play it mid with like Aatrox or Renekton, something really, really aggressive on top lane, while bottom lane is also just going at it, while Diamond Prox is like in the opponent's jungle. That's how I know them from Intel Extreme Masters.
So let's take a step back and think about Gambit and their performances in the LCS. They have been struggling in their laning phase over the last few weeks. I think, let's be frank and say they've lost more laning phases than they've gone even or won. If they've resolved those problems on a new patch, 4.3, and Edwin in particular, who has not been at the same dominant level that he was last year. I'm not by any means saying that he's underperforming, but to his standards, we expect more. Are we expecting him to maybe go for a Spell Thief's Edge? We haven't seen it yet from any other team. He's an aggressive support. He likes to be in your face. Is the possibility there for him? What do you think, Tafisho?
Oh, there's definitely the possibility. We saw him actually play Morgana. We also saw him play Annie here in the Super Week, the full AP Annie with Void Staff and everything. We know Edward, he loves to build very aggressive on the supports. Could be one of the things that what Gambit are saying, this patch is our patch. Like, it favors us because Edward can start Spell Thief, unlike Morgana, on Annie, put up a lot of early aggression, and that's also what's going to help Genji farm in lane. And if that's what they need to actually make sure they win the lane and win the early game for Gambit, then it's perfect for them. Because the issue for them is often they tend to fall a little bit behind in the lanes. 1v1, they give up some kills. Darren is very easy to gank because he's a very aggressive player. And it simply means once the team fight starts, they're slightly behind. But normally they're so good at team fighting, they can actually win anyhow and then pull their way back into the game. But around here, like now, in this tournament, when they against these international teams, they need to make sure the early game is working.
Yeah, I think Edward in particular, I think he's going to go for something like Annie or Fresh. Not so much Morgana, because it's not that big of a playmaking champion. And he loves to flash hook, he loves to flash tippers. So I think we'll see one of those two champions and then just him going out playing super aggressive and show what he's made of.
Well, we'll be getting to this match in just a moment. You guys at home have been voting on who you think is going to come out ahead and going to come out victorious. 72% of you guys at home are voting in favor of Gambit. Azubu Taipei Assassins not getting the fan favorite, but this is something we have seen Western teams have been getting some good numbers. I'm hearing from production it will be about 5 or 6 minutes until we're ready to introduce the teams on stage. So we'll get back to this matchup in just a moment or two. Let's take a look at the rest of the teams in Group B. We do, of course, see Cloud9 and Team WE that are featuring. Let's start with Team WE. They, of course, qualified by winning the Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai stop. They've got Salmei in the top lane, Ruo, Sukim, Wei Zhao, and Conan. And I got to be honest, Salmei and Wei Zhao, I'm very excited to see them performing on an international level again.
Yeah, they're the two remaining members from the old WE lineup. With Sukimi in the mid lane, he's actually a guy I want to highlight because in the Chinese league, he's the highest one in the MVP standings. He's like #1, he's very strong mid laner, and they can always count on him doing well in his lane, winning 1 versus 1. So we need to see what he can do here on an international stage. And also for me, WE reminds me a lot about IG. Very aggressive early on. When it gets to the mid game, they sometimes tend to not know exactly what to do.
Okay, so I want to especially talk about the top lane, Xiaomei, because he loves to play champions like Rengar. He loves to play champions like Shyvana. Like I tried to play against it myself. He loves to roam mid. He loves to go in, use the Rengar ultimate, snare somebody, and you get a kill. And it's like, I really feel like people playing against WE, they have to respect Xiaomei because he's really, really strong with those roaming kills.
Yeah, that sounds like a bit of QQ complaining at the fast. We'll see if we can pull it off the counter. Maybe some vision, maybe being aware of it, planning around it. If they can counter gank, it can work out in their favor. They will, of course, be facing off against Cloud9 over from the North American LCS. What do we think of this matchup? C9, of course, they will have Ball's top lane, Meteos in the jungle, High, as well as Sneaky and Lemonation. They have been performing well. They were incredibly dominant last split. This split, less so. I think there are a few more North American teams that can now challenge them for that top 3, top 4 position. What are we expecting out of Cloud9 coming into this international tournament, considering previous international experience hasn't necessarily been their strong points?
I'm actually expecting more from them now than before, especially because the NA LCS is harder. So they get more practice, they get more challenges when they're actually playing. And for me, when looking at the team, they just came out 4-0 in the Super Week, played on the 4.3 patch, so they obviously have the experience on this patch, and they look very good. The only issue for me is I feel the laning phase for them can become a big issue, going up against teams like WE, going up against teams like possibly KT Bulls if they should move on. Very strong laning phase teams, and when you have the players they do have, I don't feel like they shine in the laning phase. I feel like they shine when they get out of the laning phase and they can rotate the map, good vision control from elimination, and then pick some right fights for them.
Yeah, I think especially picking the right fights, they're really good at that. the mid-game rotations, they're also really, really, really good at that. They're probably the best team in NA at mid-game rotations. So having all the dragon control, not giving up free Nashes later on in the game, I think is really important. And then also try to hit objectives for objectives and just solid teamwork and solid game plan.
So let's step back and take a look at sort of Western teams versus Eastern teams. From our experience that we've already had here today at the championship, both Fnatic and Millennium struggled in the laning phase against their respective Chinese and Korean opponents. They did not really put up much of a fight. They got caught out, the 2v1s going against them. What do Gambit and Cloud9 need to be aware of, or how do they need to avoid falling to the same pit traps? Is it just a matter of make the right decisions as a player, or can there be ganks or vision that can help counter it?
Well, first of all, the picks. Don't pick weak early game champions if you feel like you can't actually handle the guy you're going to the lane against 1v1 in the laning phase. That was the issue we saw for Fnatic in the very first game with the Kassadin against the Yasuo pick in the mid lane. Pekka couldn't handle sit high with Yasuo. Simple as that. They, like Gambit today and also Cloud9, they can make the same mistake. They need to pick good, strong laners. And of course, vision control, yeah, it's one thing so you don't get caught by jungle ganks, but also in general, counter ganking from someone like Meteors or Diamond Blocks. Both are great junglers. They can have so much impact in the early game if they make the right decisions at the right time at the right moment and actually go in there, punish the enemy jungler for a gank, and then they kind of swing it in favor of Cloud9 or Gambit early on.
So I think Gambit's pick and bans is really, really good. Possibly the best in Europe right now. They always have a really good game plan going in. They always know what to pick against what. They always know what they want themselves if teams are leaving it open for them. What I think they have to do is don't overextend too much. Like we know Darian in top lane. People shut him down by just killing him over and over and over again. It's not unusual for him, at least in the past, that he would have 5 deaths at 20 minutes. But I think as long as he's like not overextending too hard, they will have really, really good chances of controlling the game.
Well, we'll see how it does work out for them. We are actually ready on stage to introduce the teams for Group B. So, Shocks, let's meet the players.
Thank you very much, guys. And this is the time to kick off things here in Group B and meet the teams. First up, on the blue side, your representatives from the Southeast Asian region, and of course the winners of the Season 2 Worlds in LA. Ladies and gentlemen, the Azubu Taipei Assassins. And on the red side, they won the Intel Extreme Masters in Cologne this year. And last year, of course, they won right here on this stage. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Gambit. We met the teams. It's time to kick things off, so let's go over to our fantastic casting duo. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. It is the semi-finals revisited of Season 2. And you just saw the swag lord there at the end, taking his time
as he strolls down the stairs, looks at the crowd, and he nods in satisfaction.
He hasn't got his red tracksuit on today, which is unusual. He normally has his red tracksuit on, so he's dressed up. They've got their nice new little jackets
carry
on.
Pants.
Carry pants.
He's got his carry pants on.
Carry pants.
He's
of course,
ready.
I am D-Man, and I'm casting alongside Crepo, who has just had a nice, relaxing game of Fnatic versus Millennium. So the European region, well, it's not exactly being represented too well so far.
But it was kind of exciting, though. I mean,
well,
yeah, I was harping a little bit on both teams, and I still want to say that was still a good, exciting game to watch, because after that EM, there was a lot to talk about.
Maybe the last 10 minutes.
Okay, maybe.
I'm not sure I'd go with a good, exciting game.
I remember I used to play in
KTP
CLGU
earlier on in the day.
I used to be a CLGU player, so for me, small candle in my heart.
That was just a standard game for you, really. I mean,
ended a little early, but well, whatever floats your boat.
But a fantastic performance nonetheless. Fnatic, of course, are through to play tomorrow up against IG Invictus Gaming. But right now we're in Group B, which is all about the Taipei Assassins versus Gambit Gaming. And this right here is an interesting one. Gambit Gaming coming into this one, as Shox just said, they won Katowice last year. This is the World Championship this year, though, which they did not win. Azubi Blaze went on to win that one in the 2013. But Gambit, they won the World Championships in 2012, so this, they feel, is their tournament. They are the team with the most Intel Extreme Masters events under their belt, by far, bar none. They, of course, stomped, I have to say it, stomped Fnatic in Cologne. It was not even a close game, and they're coming into this one as the favorites for the tournament. I'm not sure about that after seeing KTB and IG today, and obviously WE we haven't seen yet, but Gambit certainly are the #1 European team coming into this event.
I mean, we haven't seen Gambit perform here yet. I mean, we have to give them credit. Whenever they bootcamp, they do really well. And as amazing as IG and KTB are, they had a lot of gaping holes in their strategic plans, especially IG's macro level of play just wasn't
they
really...
don't seem to know how to play late game, do they?
Well, they probably know it, but just maybe lacking in execution. I mean, we can't presume that they don't have the knowledge. They must have, but they locked in a very one-sided composition, and that will probably get banned out. You have to know, like, the teams facing IG and KTB tomorrow, if KTB makes it and ends up making, or whatever makes it through, is going to get scouted, and they have information on that. And then that will show how versatile these teams are. And I'm looking forward, because Gambit always has this little odd pick out, especially after a boot camp. I just hope it's not on supports. I prefer Edward on traditional supports a lot more than the likes of a Mumu, etc.
Well, I mean, Groove is here this time around. He hasn't been at the European LCS for some time. He hasn't got the belt on show this time around.
Doesn't need it.
Had that last time we were here in Katowice. Doesn't need it. And I can tell you that Gambit, they were boot camping. They boot camped in Kiev. So they went hardcore mode. They managed to get back to Kiev. They did boot camp. They were in their gaming house. Taipei Assassins, we don't know an awful lot about. As you say, they're doing well. They're 10-0 in the Garena Premier League, but we never know how to compare that. Of course, they surprised everyone when they went into Season 2, but last year they didn't even make it to the finals.
Yeah, but you have to remember the last time we said, like, okay, they're coming really well into their region and they're doing really well there, but what does that mean for us? The last time we underestimated that, they ended up winning Worlds, and this might be an option right here to win the Intel Extreme Masters World Finals here, but at the same time, I'm not so sure. I'm probably going to give it to Gambit.
There's just a short delay in the moment. At the moment, Alex has said, don't worry, we're already 3 hours late, so it doesn't really matter if we wait a couple more minutes.
Yeah, looking at the pre-game chat right here, we see that Gambit is, let's just say, ready to play right now. They want to get this over with. They want to see Hero, they want to kill Hero, and they want to go sleep Hero.
I like the fact that Alex is wearing the SKTT1 badge as well, instead of the Gambit like the rest of the team.
Tribute to the Kings.
Tributing to the world champions at the moment, as is Bebe, by the way. Bebe has just joined here. Bebe, the only surviving member of the Season 2 World Championship team, of course. When I say surviving, I don't mean the rest have died. They've just left the team. They're no longer actually playing, as far as I'm aware, either.
Yeah, I'm not sure where all of them went. I know a couple of them definitely.
I mean, it's a team that obviously you yourself boot camped with at some point. You went to Taipei?
Yeah, we went there in between our OGN matches to prepare for the OGN finals. Clearly didn't boot camp hard enough because we ended up throwing a 2-0 lead into a
You were doing so well as well, yourself.
The good old times, yeah.
The good
life
old
was
times.
simple and League was winnable.
It was certainly a lot different back then. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get into picks and bans. What do we expect to see? We heard Froggen talking about, and Deficio talking about the fact that Lulu is a heavy pick. We expect to see that one probably banned out. Renekton is the first ban. That's going to be TPA taking that one away. And we've talked about how big Renekton's been in that top lane. And at the moment, the tanky top lane meta seems to be the strongest.
I mean, usually I would expect people to ban out Lulu and LeBlanc on purple side and just fear that they're not going to get picked up by the blue teams, but I've been proven wrong on that matter earlier today. Definitely Gragas ban going out. Definitely really strong champion. As we saw, AoE wave clear. Those explosive casts can do a lot of damage when they time go. Very time critical champion. You have to use your spells at the right moment and you can have such an impact into the game. So they're banning that out. Respect for the Aatrox.
Well, you have to respect Aatrox. It is Darian's champion.
It is Darian.
And I've said it before. It's a champion that suits Darian so well because it gives him a free death.
If at first you don't succeed, try
at some
again.
point. Yeah, exactly. It does give him a little bit of a support. Leona being taken away. Does this mean they want to go for that Annie as their first choice? At least being taken away, considered the top jungler at the moment. So a lot of standard bans, it's safe to say here, and we're still, like we say, we're unsure. There's the Lulu ban. That's what we were expecting.
The block is open.
But it does mean, as you say, a lot of champions open, but it seems that Sivir is valued as their first pick.
I like that. I like Sivir. I think she's a very strong champion. She's spread out. What the power does from an AD carry gets spread out, even though if he gets focused, that ulti will still be on all your team members and you have just a shared utility from it. Definitely a strong first pick. You see in Korea, a lot of value is put on Sivir.
Pete plays it a lot.
Pete actually never liked playing it, was forced to play it because said Koreans played it a lot. And that actually, I mean, it's strong. It has a little bit of a tricky laning phase. You can break through a Sivir if you know how to play around it. And that has to be respected, and probably Gambit knows how to do that. So let's see if they start like trying to punish that Sivir.
Well, I mean, Genja's pretty much been playing Jinx almost non-stop. That is the champion that I expect Genji will go for. The question is, what would Edward do, and will Diamond get that choice? Evelyn has been a champion he's played a lot of during the European LCS, and actually is a champion that has been banned away from him a lot. There is potentially the Annie. I wondered that with the Leona ban.
Yeah, I think Annie, if we go back to the start of the season right now, that would be the standard pattern, you know, like it was rock, paper, scissors, ban out one, take the favorable out of the two. Yeah. And he has a somewhat favorable matchup against Thresh. Not so much anymore. Interesting to see how he will pick up like itemization-wise, if he still go to Dorns for the favorable trades, and if he starts Q or W. Key to Annie early laning phase is starting Q and just harassing people out of lane. You said Jinx about Genja. Annie Jinx is strong. We might see Caitlyn though, because Jinx can get stormed once they pop Sivir ulti and they have these like really tanky members on the top lane or in the jungle. There's no way Jinx is going to get out of there.
How would you feel with Lucian? Because that generally is his fallback.
That would be a good champion. It's surprisingly hard to spell shield a Lucian Q.
Right.
Because it's so quick and it's not really 100% sure.
Yeah. It's like a weird timer as well.
Yeah,
like
I complained a lot when Pete never spell shielded, and then I tried it and I stopped complaining.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Pete does tend to catch a lot of skill shots.
I don't know what
I'm not gonna lie. You're not gonna say.
That's my bad for not zoning
Thresh
him out.
and Lee Sin though, they've been locked in. Now Lee Sin up against Diamond. Diamond played Lee Sin last week in the European LCS to great success once again, proving that he is the king ding-a-ling on Lee Sin. But it's going to be for Dinta, and that means, of course, Thresh was picked up. So Thresh Sivir lane, it's a strong lane.
It's a strong lane, but it can get out harassed by a good AD. Like a strong AD carry combined with Annie can out harass it. There's the potential of a lane swap as well. I don't really think Gambit's going to initiate that. They usually settle for normal lanes. I do feel it's very confident going on with the Eve pick when Lee Sin is open. Lee Sin does really well against her. Can spot her in the jungle, can outduel her. Eve has a lot of pressure on the lanes though. If they can avoid getting counter-ganked by Lee Sin, Diamond can put a lot of pressure on all these lanes. Combine that later with Alex's just like roaming playstyle, push out mid and disappear next to an invisible jungler. That might be really good for them.
Well, we do see the Trundle being picked in there, so Darien on the Trundle, and there is, of course, the Lucian.
I think it's a smarter pickup than a Jinx would be. A little less reward, but a lot less risk for me.
So it seems it's going to be Ziggs in that mid lane. We'll see what Alexic chooses to counter it. Could be Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix is available, did get nerfed. This is 4.3, has taken a hit in this patch. Wukong alongside him.
What about Zed?
In the top lane, that's going to be is it a top lane Wukong or is it a top lane Lee Sin?
It might be top lane Lee Sin actually. I think it does pretty well against Trundle.
It's Edward
choosing a champion is not going to pick.
We're going to go through a bunch of different champions here.
Let's talk about possibilities that are real for here right now.
Yes.
Okay, I really think Lee Sin is going to go top lane against and try to force out the Trundle with just raw damage and the Wukong in the jungler. I like to see Zed, honestly. I think the Zed-Ziggs matchup is really favorable into the Zed. It's Alex's typical style. And we forgot, Kassadin is still open.
Kassadin is open. It didn't work out
I think they're considering
successfully for Fnatic earlier on.
You have to remember, if Kassadin gets this far in the drop phase, the other enemy team has to be comfortable playing against this. Unless they just forgot that they picked Ziggs into Kassadin.
That's an interesting choice. Froggen will be happy with this one. This is a champion that Froggen has been playing and actually rates it in the top 5 champions. We were asking him earlier, who do you think is the top 5 mid laners? He has Karthus in there personally. Alex has just played it a number of times as well. I'm not sure about it in this team comp, but it works very well. You know, you're going to dive in there with the Cyclone, the Lee Sin has to get physical, has to get in there, and you're diving straight into the Karthus.
I can see that it works because, as you said, people have to go in. I think in the early to mid game, there's a chance that they storm in with Sivir ulti, finish off the Karthus, and run back out. And that's good. That's the way TPA has got to play this. He's got to respect the Karthus zone, drop him, disengage, and then maybe re-engage again. But if you look at later in the game, though, they're going to scale. Gambit's going to deal out a ton of damage. If Evelyn ever managed to flank, Evelyn flanks with her ulti, wall of pain on top of that, it's done. You have flash tibbers coming. You have so many damage sources on the Gambit team coming in that you have to respect. And at the same time, if the Karthus drops, he's going to pop his ulti. So it's going to be really hard for TPA to play this to the mid to late game. Definitely interesting to see how they will play their different compositions. Lee Sin split push might be really good for TPA. But then again, Trundle scales pretty well into the split pushing as well.
Well, Gambit are a team that have been successful here before, and they're certainly going to be looking to try and defend that title. As you said, Aki is in that top lane, and you can see Aki and Darian both took teleport for that top lane. I'm unsure how Darian is going to build this Trundle. If you've not been keeping up with the European LCS, Darian kind of rolls dice on what he's going to build, as does Diamond on Evelyn. We're not too sure which way they could go with those builds. It has been a number of choices. I saw he tried to justify why he picked the Manamune the other day. Didn't quite sit well with me, I've got to be honest. But it's definitely a champion he's been interested. Well, I'm trying to think when he played Trundle. It must have been a couple of weeks ago. He definitely has played it, but I think he'd be more happy on Trundle, on Aatrox. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The game is about to get underway. This is Group B of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. Azubu Taipei Assassins, the Season 2 World Champions, albeit only one member surviving on the blue team, and they're up against Gambit, who obviously won here at the Intel Extreme Masters in Katowice last year as the red team.
So I was going to make a really interesting point that I probably would not see Gambit going for a lane swap because they have a favorable matchup on bottom, and Evelyn just doesn't thrive too well in these lane swaps. Guarantees that she's either top or mid, removes one part of the invisibility aspect, but as I was trying to explain that, they run with two people on top, so maybe I'm wrong. They do go for the stun stack on Edward. That means he's not going for early harass. Started Ruby Crystal. He might want to lane swap, start with stun, go for a delayed invade, or do the typical Gambit 2-man invade on the enemy blue buff, while Diamond starts on his blue. Then look for a possible poke dive or just poke push on top lane, and just look for the advantage to get Edwards' early side stone. The Thresh invested in Doran Shield. It's pretty much a given. If he goes into that 2v2 matchup, he has to take the Doran Shield, which means GP10-wise, he's at a disadvantage if Edward goes for like a scaling build. I wonder if they've done their research and if they defend properly against the Gambit invade. And I might be wrong here in the part that Evelyn goes for blue. She might just start on solo red as well, but I believe Edward and Genji are going to harass the blue buff. I'm not sure.
I think there's going to be a late invade. Well, on the moment, Diamond is backing off, so maybe it's not. They're just going to stick with it. So do you think is this simply a case of harassing the Lee Sin rather than going up for that 2v2? Because I think they'll probably be fine with that 2v2 lane matchup.
Now, they probably want to get the blue buff contested. And actually, no, not moving in here. We see a counter swap going out from Thresh and Saber. They must have spotted somebody somewhere, and that gave away the information that they're swapping. However, Gambit's in a better position. They're defending their red buff right now.
Well, they do manage to come in, and it is a straight invade here. They do get the stun and ignite down on Alchemy, but Edward's already in trouble. He should be able to get away with this one, unless there's one more lash on him. He does manage to go. No, the flash. Oh, the animation didn't quite go through. Genja has to flash away as well, and you can see TPA, well, they went for that full invade. They did not get the buff. But my god, they nearly got themselves first blood.
You have to remember, guys, this is Lee Sin top lane starting that red buff and trying to sneak it. This is not the jungler. Both junglers started on their buff and they have a good start. Edward and Genji got really chunked defending that buff, and it almost feels like TPA won out here in initially an advantageous position for Gambit.
Well,
however, on bottom,
yeah, Aki's going in there, but he's teleported in, and now he's down a level because, of course, Darian was there the whole time. We do see the red buff going across towards Diamond, and Darian stole himself a bit of an advantage in this bottom lane. How do these two stack up, though? I mean, a Lee Sin versus a Trundle. We haven't seen this matchup a great deal, especially in Europe.
And we're almost going to reconsider my opinion of the big lead that TPA had, because Lee Sin needs a lead against Trundle. If Lee Sin gets behind Trundle, I feel he's going to do better the longer the game goes. However, he's pushing, hasn't quite pushed in the wave yet. If Wukong can swing around before this wave goes in and Darian backs off, they might have a chance at fixing it.
He's level 3 versus level 1. He's only just hit level 2, which is I think why we see, of course, Dinter come in town on that Wukong to maybe try and help. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to go for it. So let's take a peek at this top lane, because, of course, the pressure was on, and Edward, of course, blew all the summoner spells to avoid the damage early on. Has given up a lot of first bloods in the European LCS
Less
over the last few
recently,
weeks.
Less recently, though.
Absolutely.
He has fixed that problem. Really like the Eve gang sneaking in the lane. He's trying to get behind the Thresh and then just try and punish them. However, Eve is very prone to getting turned down. If they have no idea where the Wukong is, they're going to get really scared at moving out deeper into that lane.
And Wukong is actually, I think, maybe just showed himself down by that ward, which is why they may well feel confident in this one. Their ward placed almost on top of Diamond, which gives his position away. He's going to back away from this one. They give themselves up, which means Gambit, well, they're keeping that pressure on. They have got themselves a CS advantage. Mid lane, though, Alex in trouble. He gets blown by that satchel charge. The Ignite is running. He should be able to get the kill here, and the Ignite will not finish off. Morning using that flash to avoid the damage from the final passive of Alex Ich, and first blood goes to a TPA.
So this like early game aggression and invade and whatnot allowed mid lane to basically be alone, and they sensed Evelyn on top, so they just knew that the mid lane was 100% alone. Then both teams knew where the respective junglers were, and Zig just completely outplayed Alex Ich there 1v1, and that's pretty impressive.
Dominant play by TPA early on in the game. Second Doran's ring being picked up by Alex Ich along with the boots. You talked about the early start, of course. This is the patch 4.3. Where do you stand on the current support? Because I know you've been running Morgana, which we actually haven't seen any of so far with that Spell Thief's Edge, but obviously the Ruby Crystal, it tends to be the almost default start now. We're seeing it's kind of a mix between that and the Dawn Shield.
Spell Thieves is really strong when it comes to harass, but if you take a bad trade, you're going to end up really poorly. Investing in an early Sightstone, if you play really well with Vision, is definitely a good choice. Especially, you have to remember, Gambit did not expect to lane 2v2. Hook comes out, dodged by Genja, and we're going into a pause here, it seems.
Well, it is a pause, and I think it's on Gambit's side, actually. Not too sure who's actually paused it. Oh no, it is TPA. TPA waving at the referee, so we do see them refs straight in there. You may recognize them from the European LCS. They are the ESL refs, but they are also present all around Europe.
All right, this gives me the time to finish my story about Sightstone. Basically, yeah, Gambit expects a 2v1. Why not take the best scaling goal per 10 in the game, which is Sightstone. The second you finish that, you can get three wards, each worth a lot of gold, saves you way more than you can stack up in the early game with any other item, and it allows you to build coin on Annie as well. You probably don't want to build the Spell Thieves into much more of an upgrade. You want to go Sightstone into Talisman, which is a pretty good build, and I think that's smart by Edward. However, somehow TPA got wind or predicted a lane swap, and they counter swap, and that puts them at a little bit of a, I wouldn't say disadvantage, but at a missed opportunity almost. However, they're outscaling the Dorn Shield. They look about even CS. We can check it here on our monitors. So they're definitely, the gap they had in top lane is being fixed. I don't know what the status is like bottom. I think he got a base earlier. Darian actually was trying to base, but then got cancelled, and it looks like he's still sitting on his Dorn Shield, while Lee Sin has shopped already. So all in all, the gold is pretty even, barring the first blood gold, which is exactly what the difference is, 400 gold right now, and that's the first blood gold on Zig.
So it looks like we're going to be seeing probably a team out start for the Lee Sin. I'm guessing Trundle's probably going to go the same way. Where do you see this one going between these two? Because obviously Lee Sin, a lot of people argue that he just doesn't scale that well into late game.
He's really deceptive. Our top laner, Inox, plays him quite a fair bit as well. And it's really deceptive how quickly he can regenerate. It's pretty insane. Want to finish the Hydra, he'll just go all in, get some tower damage in, gets put to 20%. You think you almost have him, but he just ward dashes out or Qs out to a minion. And then one minion wave is all it takes. He just pops his Hydra, his shield, gets a spell vamp, and just goes to town on that wave, and suddenly he's 100% HP again. And he's so very, very quick and speedy, and it's really hard for you to catch him. So he's definitely going to be a nuisance against Gambit's team.
And you got to wonder, with that Trundle pick, where's he going to steal the stats from? There's not really a tanky member. I guess Wukong's probably going to be the tank.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart picking into the Trundle, as you said, good point on the stats, because you build a lot of HP maybe, a lot of lifesteal, not necessarily resistances. However, if people don't build a lot of stats, then yeah, well, Alex is going to say, well, thank you for that, and just pop them with his ulti later in the game.
Yeah.
I really feared the scaling aspect of this game. I feel Gambit's Cardus Eve is going to be really hard to deal with. At the same time, though, if Gambit falls behind, Trundle doesn't get really rolling. They don't have a tank either, and they just can get zerged. You know, Sivir pops her ulti. You have Thresh with a hook, with a flay, whatever. A satchel put you out of position. Wukong catches two of you, knock up and die, and just instantly disengage from the Cardus. That's why I like Sivir a lot into Cardus, because you can run in, pop him, and run out. And TPA has been doing well in their region, which indicates that they should be able to recognize these differences in team comps and team fight accordingly.
And in their region, you know, I guess we can talk about the fact that AHQ also in there, one of the top teams, do not always take it too seriously in the league. Whereas actually, if you look at TPA, they have took it seriously this time. Last year, probably not. Maybe that's why they didn't even make it to the 2013 finals. But this year, they seem to be taking it a lot seriously. Of course, it's a newer, hungrier Taipei Assassins here. This is a lot of teams. Bebe was in the mid lane for a while, but they picked up Morning, suddenly realizing we need a better mid laner. He's moved back to that AD carry role, which was his own. And I guess you know, a lot of the Western world viewers probably haven't seen a great deal of the Taipei Assassins.
I'll be honest, I haven't seen too much from them either. I mean, I've been stuck playing my own games and then occasionally looking over to the Asian leagues. But
well, you've got a lot to focus on right now in North America.
There's quite a few problems we can fix in the meanwhile, rather than start watching all the leagues. And then why not watch the Korean League?
Absolutely.
Following Monte Cristo's advice, start at the top and work your way down, right?
Well, we'll see how the KT Bullets do, of course, at this event, the Korean Standards. They did win the 2013. It was, of course, Azubu Blaze back then who won it up against Frost. It was Frost and Blaze both in there. So the pause is about to be resumed. It was a small communication problem for the teams. Both teams had the same issue, it seems, so they are back underway right now. So we'll see how this one develops.
So yeah, Gambit actually had his wave pushed into their tower on top lane. They kind of pushed it back. Eddie is not quite sitting on upgrade gold for Sidestone. He doesn't really want to base yet. He wants to wait until he gets that. He sends Genja home though, which means if Azuba's lane wants to push in, Eddie will pick that gold up on the tower or freeze the lane, and then Genja comes back with more items. This is what they used to do a lot in different games, and I think it's a good call for them.
And how do what do we make of this mid lane? Because Alex is taking a bit of harass here from Morning on Ziggs, and Ziggs obviously has the range, obviously has the poke, and those bombs seem to be landing quite a lot on Alex right now.
Yeah, he's under pressure, but at the same time, his CS is pretty much tied right now. He did give up a kill. They're fighting each other bottom, but without jungle pressure, I don't see anybody really dying until the Lee Sin hits level 6. Lee Sin level 6 can have a surprising amount of damage.
Well, at the moment, we do see the top lane, and we see the pressure on them. You can see Darien, he's backing off quite safe on his own turret. Dinta was taking a look towards that top lane. You can see they put the pink in the tri-bush, and mid lane, Diamonds is looking at having a peek here, but Alex Sich himself, he's off doing the wolves.
I mean, that's the power of Eve, by the way. That's the reason they didn't dive that top lane, because they have no idea where the jungler is. And it's so hard to spot him, but they're going in on Genja.
Yeah, Diamond just putting some pressure on towards Morning, and you can see, didn't really get too worried about that one in that top lane. Bebe and Jay are continuing to keep pressure on, and this is a problem, I feel, for Gambit, because when Genja falls behind, he tends to go incredibly passive and will just sit there. Oh, Alex Sich closed in on that mid lane.
Very clutch flash. He had to respect the ward dash into Q from Lee Sin. Even if he doesn't know if he's going to hit or not, you have to respect it, because if you're a millisecond too late, Lee Sin will follow you on the tower and your flash is down and you're dead. Good play. But especially a lot of pressure coming out of Eve, even if he's not really doing much with the pressure though. Gambit isn't really getting anything done.
Yeah, and you can see Diamond hasn't got that ultimate yet, so he can't really go all in on Morning. Morning himself is level 7. You can see he's gained himself quite an advantage over Alex, who's having to back once again.
Yeah, looking back at the laning phase where Diamond was posturing at top lane and was a bit too scared to go, I feel that's a mistake Gambit made there. They should have either been farming or capitalized on that presence. Because right now, mid lane, they're losing it. I don't think they should have been losing a mid lane when they get the counter pick.
Oh, Jay getting caught out. Genji going slightly aggressive on him, forcing him out of the lane. Edward holding that stun. Has yet to hit level 6, only hit level 4. Meanwhile, we can see down the bottom, Darien really taking a lot of pressure. And we talked about how the different builds were going in. It seems that Darien is going to head towards that Tiamat build as well, starting out with the pickaxe this time instead. He may well go different. We'll see how it goes. May go play the Rune King.
Well, TPS top laner deserves a lot of praise. He came back to lane being 10 CS down, and now he's pressuring the Thrundle out after roaming mid and forcing Alex to use his flash. He's putting a lot of pressure on this Gambit team, and in turn, Ziggs will be able to capitalize on that.
Oh, the death sentence lands on Edward. They go in on that. They put the play down, but the stun turns back around towards Bebe. That's a good turnaround, though. Teleport coming in. There's the Carthus ultimate. That's going to get Bebe down. Edward tried to steal that one. He's going to go down. Aki does manage to land that kick and follows through. That's going to leave the bottom lane open for Darien, but that's a kill for the top laner.
This will draw Evo to top, which means he can't defend mid, and this is good for TPA because Alex is doing that ulti. He's standing still while he casts and he gets forced out. They're going on Genja right now.
Oh, a flash dead sentence not going to land down, nor is the flay going to go in. Diamond's going to turn this one back around. They're going towards Jay. They're going to put the pressure down. Genja getting kicked away by Aki.
Really well played by Aki there. He just slows Genja, Diamond pokes down enough to save his support and then just follow him with the dash and get out of the turret there. Really good pressure play by TPA. He's going back in on Genja.
Oh, Genja taking so much damage. He's got to be careful here. He is absolutely stagnant, and we see Dinta's making a move for this one. He fancies the kill. He's coming straight up towards Edward is going to get back in time, and well, Genja is making a move, and he's just going to back well away from this one.
But look at the pressure they're putting. Even if Diamond's there, the mid lane is exposed. Ziggs is sieging right now. He's putting pressure. Wukong shows up top. Lee Sin has so much sustain that he can just draw people repetitively up to the top lane. This is like the 4th member that has shown up there in a very short time span, and this leaves the other lanes to be pressured. Because look at the bottom, Sivir is split pushing on her own. We've all forgot about their AD carry, and she's getting fed in what used to be a disadvantageous matchup, and she's just farming, putting pressure, and TPA is just being really smart. Okay, Gambit, you want to react to our pressure and you put 3 members top? Fine, I'll play you mid. Oh, what is that? Bottom's empty, let's just go there. I'll just overextend top a little more, draw some more people out, and then just disengage when we have to. And they're playing the map, and really, really well played by TPA.
And Bebe, all on his own, has just come down and taken that bottom turret, the first turret of the game, and now Darian finds himself in a 2v1 situation. Pillar of Ice goes down, but that's on the hunt being popped by Bebe. They're going to continue chasing, but Diamond is coming around the side, just past the ward. Not too sure whether he got spotted. He definitely did now, because he's starting off on that white. But look at the mid lane. Morning has been doing a number on Alex Sitch, and as you said, every time pressure's being drawn somewhere else, it's Alex that's losing out to Morning.
Yeah, Diamond wants to help bottom, but at the same time he's getting out pressured mid. And you have to remember, this is Alex each counter-picking this Ziggs with Cardis, and it's not working. Imagine in this game, if there was a Zed pushing the Ziggs, if Gambit had the lead in mid lane, the scale meters for the pressure would just be completely different, and Alex is just not on top of his game right now.
He is taking every single bounce in bomb, and if that Mega Inferno bomb was up, he would have been dead where he stood. As it is, it's going to be the Dragon going down to Taipei Assassins, and they are really putting pressure. That's going to stretch the goal to 3,000 already just 10 minutes into this game.
I really don't think Gambit is playing too poorly, but I'm just very impressed by the way TPA is handling these situations. They're giving the right answer to every problem they presented, and they're playing very solid, and it shows why they're ahead in their region, and not to be underestimated just because they play in a not so popular region.
Yeah, and Morning really has done a fantastic job. You can see 30 CS advantage over Alex Sitch. Of course, Alex will eventually scale, but the fact that the Ziggs, if he gets going early on, he can be a problem. Then Mega Inferno bombs can have some distance, and they can turn all these lanes. And looking at the top lane, you can see a lot of pressure on there. If Wukong to go up there along with Aki, along with that Mega Inferno bomb, they could get kills.
I wonder if TPA is like on purposely ignoring the pressure from Eve and say, well, she can only gank 1 lane at a time, pressure all 3 lanes at once. Or if they just have such a good game read on where Diamond has to go and has to be, because Ziggs is constantly pushing up mid, but never ever seems to be able to get caught, because while he's pushing up with so much pressure, he's basically chunking Alex to half HP, putting that risk of getting 2v1.
Well, they're playing it right as well. They're putting deep, deep wards at the farm, so they don't need to use the pink wards to spot him out. They can see him when he's taking out the farm, so they know roughly where he is. And the wards, there was a couple of deep wards in the top lane. You can see deep wards in the bottom lane as well. So they're making good use of their vision to keep hold of Diamond. As it is in the mid lane, Diamond's making a move, trying to get around the backside of Morning, but again, they know exactly where they are. They've just pinged on top of him, and they just back away.
Yeah, definitely good game reads, and Dinter right here is counter ganking. That's what the Wukong wants to do. And if you ever play against the Wukong, don't expect him to gank, expect him to counter gank. They want to overextend right here, get caught between, trying to fake getting caught, and then the Wukong comes in for the ulti. He's backing off because Gambit's not buying it. They know it's too easy. They haven't seen Wukong in a long time. He has to be counter ganking. But then again, this puts pressure. Is Wukong gone or not? Because they have so much deep wards, they know for a fact that Gambit hasn't warded back. Right now we see Ziggs going for blue buff. This might be an indication that Wukong is still around top.
Well, blue buff will go across to Alex Sitch. We did see the bottom lane of TPA heading up there, but they're a little bit too late on that one. They're going to ward it out nevertheless, and they're going to find themselves Darian exposed in the bottom lane, which is where Jay is heading. But look at this, Morning. They're trying to separate on towards him. They really want to make ganks, and Diamond is trying to make an impact on this game, but he's been struggling out so far.
Right now, Morning wants to push up, puts aggressive ward, keep Alex there, but they're turning on him.
Now they're going to go in towards him, and again, Satchel charges, bounces him away, and takes Alex so low already. Diamond just coming in, get close. Dinter comes in. He's going to get the Mega Inferno Cyclone. He's down, and that was an easy counter by Taipei Assassins.
Yeah, Dinter didn't even need to flash there, but he did it to secure the kill, and they're just going to siege up, forcing Alex Yish, and then meanwhile their 2-man bottom lane is going to force the push onto Darian. If they can't get this tower, which I think they will, they'll just rotate down the bottom anyways.
Well, the Wall of Pain landing on towards Morning. They're going to keep that pressure on. Laywastes are going in there. If they had a little bit of support, which is looking like maybe going to get from Darian, but instead Darian himself is struggling down his bottom lane. There's the Death Sentence hooking on the hunt goes down. Satchel Charge bounces him back in. A beautiful play by Taipei Assassins. They're taking the bottom turret.
And not only do they get this bottom turret, and it's a flashy play, but you have to look at the beauty of this rotation. They will push out mid, rotate to bottom, which cancels Eddie's roam from top. Eddie wants to help them. He says, okay, my guys are in trouble in mid. I can walk there. By the time he reaches middle, they're no longer middle, but they're bottom already. They get a kill and a tower, and they're just out-rotating Gambit. And Gambit's playing the reactive game, but they're just playing it which is the reactive game. It's one step after everything happens, and TPA is just constantly outsmarting them, rotating quicker, and they have a 5,000 gold lead already.
Well, Edward himself, we wanted this lane phase to go much longer. He's got that sightseeing, and he's also gone for the Spell Thief's Edge, but
not sure if I agree on that.
Not much use now, because the lane phase is effectively over.
Aside from pushing towers, it still gives you 10 plus 80 damage whenever you push a tower, but not worth it. And Darren's...
This is the Darien problem that we've seen so many times. He's gonna get hooked out. He's gonna get killed out here. It's a case of who will get it. It's Aki that takes it down, and it's now 5-1 in kills. And you can see Darien 0-2.
And this is why Darien often comes back in these games, because he pushes out these lanes immediately and farms back up, trying to put pressure. But TPA just won't have it. Aggressive wards, they know exactly when he's coming. They kill him on bottom. At the same time, they have to react on bottom. Who's top? Ziggs. That's a mid laner in the top lane. They don't care about conventional roles, you know. They say, screw it, my AD carry goes bottom, my AP carry goes top, and my top laner goes ganking on a rotate bottom. They don't care, they just want the right people in the right place at the right time. Something CLG has been doing a lot better in the NA scene of late as well, and it's just very impressive how they're getting kills and objectives and deep wards without overextending and having such a good game read on an invisible jungler.
And honestly, all the research sort of led to this should be a fairly easy game for Gambit, but as it turns out, they are half Gambit's number so far. Morning, satchel charge, gets him away. Requiem may get the kill. He's going to try and turn this one back around. No, does not go down. Instead, Dinter comes in. Cyclone running. It's actually Morning that picked up the kill as well. Tibbers goes down on towards Aki, but the damage is not there to follow up. And TPA just gets away again. They have themselves a 6,000 gold lead, and they have Gambit's number so far.
Well, Gambit doesn't really lose out too much here. The mental strain that puts onto you, when you finally catch somebody, you hesitate going in, and then you turn on you and kill Edward right there.
Edward caught out. Is the Ignite going to be enough to take down Aki? He's got nothing to safeguard on. He's going to teleport away and survive. We do see, just off on the side here, Darien comes in. He finds himself Dinter, but doesn't fancy the 2v1. Now he's running in for it. Now he thinks he can take it. He's going to get the rise down. He's going to try and turn it. Aki could come in. Does manage to go for it.
They tried to fake the decoy.
Didn't work out. And again, it's another turret. TPA, every time they go aggressive, they get themselves an advantage. Alex Hitch going aggressive this time on towards Aki. Can they get out? No! The culling completely missing and whiffing on them.
Here
Teleport comes in. Aki follows in there. Lands on towards Alex Hitch. Comes in. The king comes out. And that's just going to get followed up by Jay. And now Diamond, he's having to run away. It is all going so wrong for Gambit.
Damn, TPA is reading Gambit like a book right here. Every time they escape with a sliver of health, and that crawls into your head. If you're Gambit right now, and you're behind and you think you finally got him, like, you finally got a pick, let's go back into this game. No, 10%, he's out. Oh, he ends up killing me with a bomb. Next guy, 20%. Oh, I found them basing, they made a mistake. Nope, they didn't, they get out. And you're just constantly trying to catch them. When you do finally catch them, Lee Sin teleports in, kicks your Cardis out. He's not within kill range. His ulti's down, and another kill. And you're slowly losing control of this game, and by this time, you're 7,000 gold down, almost 8,000. And what are you gonna do to crawl back into this game?
What are they gonna do? That's a big million-dollar question, I think you could say. They're not too sure themselves, and talked about the fact they may be able to get revenge on TPA, but not looking likely so far. TPA are in a strong commanding position, and this is the problem, because nobody was really sure how the Garena Premier League was, the level of it. And this is like we talked about, how they were underestimated when they came into the Season 2 World Championships. Again, it seems slightly underestimated, and they have got the picks they wanted, it seems, and it's working so well for them so far.
This may have just been a misunderstanding of the mid matchup, because I feel that tilted a lot of the factors, because what I've been explaining about TPA is the way Gambit could have easily done that if they had the upper hand in mid, because that controlled the game, because it forced people to react. If your mid is pushing, your jungle will go mid. You know the enemy jungle won't be there. With a counter pick, Alex, he should have probably had the advantage there.
He's caught out, he's kicked, Alex is going down, he's going to try and take Morning with him, but he's simply doing no damage to him. Requiem is available, but why use it? Because you're not going to get anything out of it.
And yeah, basically TPA is choking the life out of Gambit. They're playing conservative when they have to, they're playing aggressive when they can. They still have to be careful. I mean, every game can be lost still. But I really like what they're doing in terms of vision control, in terms of pushing up. They're not tunnel visioning on Baron just yet, even though they have such a big lead. They don't care. They're finishing on working their way through all the outer turrets, and not simply by grouping up on them. No, they split and they try to divide the attention.
And this is now 19 minutes in. An inhibitor tower push by the Taipei Assassins going in towards it. Genja and Edward are there to defend this one, but 5 members of TPA coming round, and You talk about the pressure that Morning put onto them. It makes me cast my mind back to the likes of Toys when he absolutely dominated everybody. It wasn't just the Alex Ich in sorts of trouble. It was the likes of was Rapid Star in the mid lane for CJ Frost.
Well.
He did dominate Froggen, unfortunately. But as it stands, TPA are looking so strong in game one. Diamond is going to try and find on towards Dinta, but Dinta quickly uses that clone and gets himself out of the danger.
Well, I wouldn't say dominate Froggen. I say went toe-to-toe with Froggen. His team was holding him back. Anyways,
he didn't hear you. You're all right.
Yeah, that's fine. Standing up. Great. We're fine. Anyways, even though like right now, this would lead up into most teams would go into a 5-man push, but we saw TPA just doing a little bit of a split push. Sivir can reach the other side really quick with her ultimate on the hunt, and at the same time, Ziggs can toss a bomb over to the other side. So while this is seemingly a split push, if they go for that again, they can just switch lanes really quick. Eve's doing the right thing right now. Evelyn has to flank. There's no other way Gambit's ever going to win this game, but TPA seems ready for it. Or are they?
Well, we'll see. Diamond is now in a position to go for Bebe and Jay, but everybody else is backing away. They're trying to chase on towards him, but TPA read that one again. They seemingly are one step ahead of Gambit every step of the way. They're going to go for Darian. Is this what he wants, though? You can see the culling coming around. They may well finally get some kills. Mega Inferno bombs. Good timbers from Edward. Diamond comes around the backside. Requiem's going to come out there. Cyclone only landing on Edward. Diamond having to run away. They simply do not have the damage. Of course, that Requiem blown. It is a double kill for Morning. Eddie, Darian, and Diamond going down. Oh, the flash this time around. Not going to work out. Alex Ich does survive, but again, it's another 2-for-1 for TPA.
I think he ran out of energy real quick because he dropped the ward, tried to get behind Alex. He just didn't quite pull that off, but look, immediately after taking an advantage, they capitalize, go for the tower, and they go for Genja.
Genja dead, caught out, great explosive cast once again, explosive cast, explosive
Satchel.
Satchel, that's the one I want.
It explodes.
Yeah, I don't want to go down the Deficio route on that one. It was just the Satchel. Oh, Eddie going again, going aggressive, but there's no follow-up.
I feel Gambit played this fight as probably as good as they could given their situation they were in. TPA went for a catch. A bit more than they could chew, really. But just the fact that Ziggs is so incredibly fed already, they just turned it around. But it was a really good start for Gambit. If this would have happened with any less of a gold lead, let's say maybe 3,000 or 4,000, Gambit could have come back. It's just unfortunate for them they were this far behind already.
Yeah, it's not working out for them, and European fans' hopes are dwindling because Taipei Assassins once again have turned up looking strong. Of course, following this game is Cloud9 versus WE. That's going to be a huge game, and of course the North American hope will be relying on that one. We'll see how they turn up, but as it is, TPA are looking good for this group.
It's still early to draw conclusions, though. Whenever Gambit goes down a map, though, in one of these Intel Extreme Masters events, they come back even harder.
Darian well out of position and just completely annihilated by Bebe. And you talk about that, they went 2-2 last year here in Katowice. They actually lost the game to Curse as well, but they came back so much stronger in the second day. Managed to come through the semi-finals and finally grand style, taking down Frost and Blaze on the way.
Yeah, I've underestimated Gambit a few times throughout my entire career, both casting and play.
It's not gone well.
No, don't do that. Just give them, if they lose this game, so be it. Gambit bounces back really well. They have a lot of mental agility. They have a lot of knowledge. They boot camp. Should have maybe made a few mistakes, but they'll learn from them. And tomorrow they'll have some scouting information on their opponents, and they might do better.
Diamond ready to flank again. Bebe taking a couple of tower hits.
Down as well.
Edward fancied that. He's got flash timbers available. We do see Genja now making a move around the backside. They're going to close in from every angle, but is it the right move when the inhibitor turret already has gone down? Now they're going in. It's a pincer move. They're going to go in towards Bebe on the hunt being used. The collar coming down. Oh, nicely caught out on towards him there. Genja is doing the damage on the backside. Dodges out of that one. Doesn't miss the death sentence. There's going to be a Timbers catching up. Aki's so low, but he kicks Genja away from this one. Requiem is not available though, and it's a triple kill for Morning. Has been finally taken down by Genja. Can they get Dinta down? Dinta taken low. Jay comes in, gets the play on towards him, but Genja, the last remaining hope, is taken down. It's the 8th for TPA, and this could be a very quick game. They're going to punch through towards the Nexus turrets and take the victory.
Now this is a fight where Gambit did everything right. Flying by their AD carry, flying by their jungler, killing the enemy AD carry immediately, but then there's Six. He just launches his bomb, everybody collapses and trying to kill him, triple kill, and then they just close out. Gambit was just too far behind right here to win that fight, but they played it perfectly, and this indicates that they have a really solid understanding of the way their composition has to be played. Sadly enough, their early game was like too detrimental to their mid game.
Look at that difference in the mid lane. 5,000 gold advantage Morning has over Alexic. That is a gigantic step between the two. And we've seen Kha'Zix working well a few times, but as of late, it just seems when he's paired against the likes of Ziggs, he just gets outscaled or just simply can't keep up, because once they get that early game, and this is what TPA have done, they've taken the early game so well and just rotated it and kept the pressure going. We obviously saw the likes of Millennium earlier on getting that early game and just taking the foot off the gas. IG as well. IG did exactly the same thing against KTB. But TPA really have kept it going.
A very solid play. Really, what won this game was not one particular fight. Maybe it could have been a contributor to the first spot they got in mid lane, but it was the rotations. Once you get an advantage, is how you exploit that one, and that's very impressive what TPA brought here to the table today. And look at that. He misses 3 bombs in a row, but ends up hitting one more, and then suddenly Alex is 20% HP.
Mega Inferno bomb being thrown out like candy because the reset cooldown is so short. Baron is a potential. Of course, there is only one Nexus turret standing. The inhibitor has respawned on the bottom lane for Gambit, so they do have a small respite, but you see the Baron being started off by TPA.
Not a big fan of this play.
Oh my god, Edward, don't move. He's been taken down. It's another kill. It's a 10-1-3 Morning on Ziggs. Fantastic play by that mid laner.
Very slow Baron. It's kind of 50-50. Diamond could technically show up. I guess with the Ziggs being this fed, it's definitely a good play, but I would have liked more of a vision clear, although Diamond has a hard time coming in.
Yeah, Diamond, I don't think he's going to be able to get in there. He has been completely zoned out. Nobody else really getting in there. Goes aggressive on Morning. This is just a simple play that needs to be done. They are going to get the kill on Morning, but that's about all it's going to be. Darian goes down. They're going to catch on towards it and just collapse onto Gambit, and now just 2 members, Alexic and Edward, to stop TPA storming their base.
Yeah, a lot of good efforts from Gambit, good ideas, but they just don't work at an equal amount of gold. So I definitely like seeing, even though when Gambit is down, they have the right idea how to play their composition. It's just, at this point, it's almost futile. I don't see any move they can make, barring a huge throw by TPA, that would get him back into the game, so to say. They've shown elements of great play, though. They've shown what they need to do against this composition is just far too little too late.
Well, this is going to be TPA pushing in towards the final inhibitor turret. That goes down. Inhibitor will follow. Middle one will be respawning shortly. Bottom one is up. And that's all they want to take for now. And Gambit are forced to face a wave of super minions coming into their base.
What's left to say here, really? I think TPA is just going to slowly push him down. However, I've been wrong before. I thought Millennium was going to take it.
I don't think TPA are quite going to go that route. Are they going to have to do some momentous errors in their gameplay, which as of yet do not seem to be materializing? Aki 509 on Lee Sin. Bebe moving in on towards Darian. Darian in trouble. He is going to get away. Jay was there, and Jay on Thresh. You know, these are a number of champions that have been #1 picks in the Korean scene and seemingly in the Southeast Asian scene.
I just want to point out how well Morning is doing. It's 28 minutes into the game. He has a Void Staff, Ramson's Death Cap, Athene's Holy Grail, and Azonia's Hourglass at this point in the game. And he probably has sitting on a lot of gold as well because he hasn't chopped for a while. He's just basically being the key factor why TPA won this game. Although all of the team members did their job, they rotated the right amount of turrets. I don't know if they do that instinctively or if there's a shot caller. If there is one guy calling all the shots for TPA, then he's definitely the victor of this game.
He's definitely the MVP so far, that's for sure. Diamond just keeping them away from that last inhibitor. Middle one is going to go down though. They're going to pay the price for that one. Having to leave it free. So 2 inhibitors down, just the bottom one to go. And as you say, TPA are just moving in. I don't think Gambit can do anything to defend this one. They're going to try one last fight on the Nexus turrets, but that's all they can do. Diamond caught out with the hook. Cyclone goes straight through. They're going to follow through and towards this one. Genja trying to put the damage down, but as you see, they are just too strong. That Baron buff still on them. The hook on Genja, that's going to get followed through. They're going to straight on towards it. A great play on towards them. It's a double kill for Morning. Can he make it a triple? Alex each caught out on the fountain. That's going to be a double for Bebe. That's going to be the game. The Taipei Assassins take down Gambit in quick style, 28 minutes into the game. What a first game performance by TPA.
Yeah, very impressive. I think we've highlighted everything, what's happened already, because it happened on so many different occasions. They fell behind in mid. I feel like I'm repeating myself endlessly. Sorry if I am, but just clean cut rotations.
Well, I mean,
clean mechanical play. Bounce back from an early deficit. Invaded, let's go back to all the way level 1. Invaded that buff. Aki basically on his own made sure that Gambit's bottom lane, who ended up being top, was behind on lane, giving Sivir the time to scale into the game, teleported back to bottom lane, ended up winning it anyways, out-pressuring, went in roaming mid, blowing Alexis's flash. So versatile, so quick, so nimble, had a few key teleports coming out as well, so he played well. Dinter was counter-ganking at every moment, or ready to, in case if it was needed. Morning, I think we've covered that one.
Well, I mean, Morning, 13-2-5 at the end there. I think he ended with, what, 15,500 gold, 5,500 gold ahead of Alexic.
And then to finish the list, Bebe, really solid, was where he needed to be, popped on the hunts, positioned rather well in teamfights. The only time he really got caught out is when he got flanked by the AD carry and the jungler, and then yeah, Morning cleaned up that fight, and then their support Jay, just yeah, solid thresh play, not much more to say.
Yeah, fantastic performance overall, and TPA, an easy victory in the end. We're going to go across towards our analysis desk of Deficio, Froggen, and Quickshot to take us through that quick game.
Thank you very much, D-Man and Crepo. And after that abysmal performance from Gambit, the last Western hope for League of Legends teams now lies on a North American team. I did not expect to say those words coming into this tournament. I did think that Fnatic and Gambit were going to put on stronger performances. And I would say that Gambit got picked apart even more drastically than Millennium got picked apart by the KT Bullets. Fact of the matter is, Gambit got smashed in every single lane. They started a lane swap, didn't work out in their favor. Taipei Assassins simply outclassed them.
Can we just say that the European scene at the moment, a 2-week early game? Like, the laning phase is just too weak. Every single game against the Asian teams, it's been the same story. Fall behind early, trying to catch up, not possible, end up losing the game. Millennium, KT Bullets was the same thing. Fnatic, IG was the same thing. And now here, every single lane got outclassed. Everyone, they died 1v1, 2v2. TBA played fantastic, we have to give them that. I mean, they really showed how strong they were. They showed that their record in GPL actually shows they are a very, very strong team. And if they can keep this performance going, they're definitely one of the favorites now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I would like highlight especially the mid player, the 6th, Morning. He played amazing. It was insane. Like, in the laning phase, he one-on-ones. Alex said, okay, he uses flash, Alex doesn't, but a one-on-one is a one-on-one. Free first blood from there. He snowballed it into a turret. He snowballed it into like even more lead. He predicted every single time Diamond was gonna go mid. He got away from everything without even losing health, without losing pressure. He just played really, really good.
Every single member of Taipei Assassins stepped up. They won each of their respective lanes regardless of who they were facing off against. They rotated well for objectives. Where there were fights possible, they picked them. The thing that was most impressive about this particular game, maybe in contrast to the KT Bullets, where they themselves picked up like a 17, 18-minute inhibitor, is just that it was relentless. The Taipei Assassins continued to find kills over and over and over, and of course, the composition sort of lended itself towards that, but it was flawless. There was really nothing that Gambit could have done from the get-go. From the first 2 minutes, we've seen Edward as well as Genja being forced to blow their flashes on, and Invade trying to defend their own buff.
And one thing I really liked about TPA is the fact they picked up triple mobility boots when they actually got ahead. So they just roamed around the map, they warded everything up, caught Gambit out every single time they had the chance, and with the high mobility and with the fact they were so far ahead, teleport onto Lee Sin, of course. Every time Gambit tried something, multiple members were there for TPA, punished them, killed them, and just make it look even worse for them.
So let's take a look at Taipei Assassins, their performance. They absolutely destroy Gambit. Now, Taipei Assassins played phenomenally well. Gambit played pretty poorly, let's be frank and honest, and if we contrast those two performances, it makes TPA look particularly good. Do we feel their individual play and decision-making from this game is going to put them on par with the likes of KT Rolls to be and maybe Invictus, as they have also shown very strong performances?
So I think like the game was even till the point where Alex died. I really have to highlight that. It was like it was 2 versus 1 in the top side and the bottom side of the map. They both had like even pressure on those 2 lanes. The junglers, none of them really had an impact till they actually started going off the mid. They were like, okay, we got tower in mid, let's just keep rotating around the mid. We don't have to do anything else. We don't try to fight them top lane, we don't try to fight them bottom lane. It's like every single time they actually traded better than even, it was because 6 was involved.
So what was the mistake there? Is that just TPA making excellent decisions around the mid lane, or is that Gambit not being, not having enough wards, not having enough members in that mid lane? Where do you feel it lies more?
I think it's more because of the fact Cartus is extremely bad against 6. if he falls behind. Like in the early game, like the first 4 levels, you need to hit the lay waste. If you're not hitting the lay waste, you're not going to have a good time against Ziggs. He can always poke you. You can't run through his minefield. He even has a knockback, or he can knock himself away. He has his ultimate that you even can't flash out of because the flash range is not far enough. So if you fall behind, you lose all your pressure. However, if you hit the lay waste, you're actually going to be really, really good in the matchup versus Ziggs, especially because he has Ignite. So you can go really aggressive onto him, and he has to back out early, or it's going to be 1-for-1 while you're cleaning the entire minion wave. And that's going to make you get ahead.
So basically, Gambit, with the last pick, was the Katowice. They were actually them picking against the Ziggs. They more or less invested everything in saying, Alex, you're going to win this matchup. If you don't, we are more or less screwed. That's it. Like, if you don't win this matchup, we're done. Because Ziggs, on morning, he's so strong on his champion. He's been playing it in GPL so many times, so Gambit know he's playing it. And yet they actually last pick the Katowice. They take the chance. It didn't work for them. One thing we have to know, though, with Gambit, we've seen them in the European LCS win 5 games in a row, then they lose horribly. We had like the super hardcore game, we lost in 25 minutes. This could be the same for them. Let's see what they can actually do in the next game they play, if they can manage to bounce back.
Well, they've only got one more chance.
Exactly.
Now, I do want to remind everybody that last year at the Intellectual Masters Academy, just stop. They had a terrible group stage. They only made it through on time difference and bounced back to take out, at the time, Blaze and Frost. Now, I'm by no means predicting it. After seeing that performance, my faith in Gambit has been shattered. Guys, we do have to go to a break. Before we do, though, I just want to make a very quick announcement. Because of the delays that we have suffered over the course of the day, we are going to be moving the Group B losers match to tomorrow at 12 a.m. Central European Time. So what that does mean is we are starting tomorrow 1 hour earlier than scheduled. We will be wrapping up the losers match, which will be Gambit versus whoever loses between Cloud9 and WE. When we return, Cloud9 take on Team WE. We'll find out who's going to advance to that winners matchup. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.